Hello.
Thanks so
Hi.
much for joining. Hi. We'll be starting really, really soon. We're waiting for Olive to join us and take over.
All right.
Just a second.
Hello, good afternoon. Amina Chizi, wait for the others to join.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I hope you're okay. Sorry for joining in late, but welcome everyone to today's webinar. Maybe we can start with introducing ourselves. I can start. My name is Olive Kaburu. I am the partnerships lead for Kenya Youth Parliament for Water. So maybe the rest can introduce themselves as we wait for today's presenter to start.
Okay, I can go next.
Jerry,
Jerry
can go
Ngogi.
first.
Yeah, hi. I'm Jerry Ngogi, the president of Kenya Youth Parliament for Water. Yes, thanks.
My name is Chizi Swangi. I am the vice president of KYPW, and you're all welcome. We can have Moreti, Dana, Dia.
Sophie?
It seems that Moreti is not able to speak. So Olive, you can go on.
Yes, so thank you. And also to those who've joined in, thank you so much. This wouldn't have happened if it was only the Kenya Youth Parliament of Water Leaders. So we're grateful to all of you for joining us today. We're going to introduce our president so that she can give us an overview of the project. So Njeri, over to you.
Thank you. So KYPW in summary. So we were founded in October of 2022 to empower Kenyan youth as change makers in the water sector. And we seek to bridge the capacity gaps by equipping young people with knowledge, the voice and the platforms to lead community action and policy dialogue around water rights. So this webinar is part of a project that has the same aim. Our vision is to be the frontier organization of youths advocating for the right to water. And the mission is to advocate for the right to accessible, clean, and affordable water for all. Olive, should I go on with the overview, or do you want to?
Yes, you can.
Okay. So this is part of a project, as I've mentioned, it titled Youth Capacity Building Series on Water Governance and Policy. So it's basically a project that aims to strengthen meaningful youth participation in water governance policy formulation and SDG implementation. We often advocate for youth involvement in all these areas, but then there's a gap in which are we meaningfully engaged? And by that, do we have the knowledge to the information that we need to be meaningfully engaged, in summary? So the key results of this project will be increased youth participation in formal governance platforms, stronger youth-led advocacy networks, improved policy literacy, and a sustainable Digital Water Governance Resource Hub. So this will be, as it says, a digital platform which will be accessed by not just our members, but every other Kenyan youth. So it begins with this recording. We'll be uploading it on our YouTube, and we'll also be uploading this presentation as well as other supporting documents such that they can be referenced at a later date. So with no further ado, I'd like to introduce the speaker, Amina. A quick summary. So Amina Chizi Ngome holds a bachelor's degree in hydraulic engineering from the University of Tlemcen in Algeria. She's a recent graduate of Masters in Water Policy and Governance from the Pan-African University of Water and Energy Science, PAWES. Her experiences include working at Kerarop Water Association in Kenya and another association in Algeria. So her goal is to advance sustainable water governance and resilient water infrastructure in Africa. She is also a member of KYPW, and this goes to show that the chapter does have informed people, and that's what we're trying to highlight. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Njeri. I hope you can all hear me.
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. As you've heard, my name is Amina Chizi. I'm a recent master's graduate from the Pan-African University. And as we kick off this project on water governance and policy, we'd like to look at a few terms because for us to be able to make an impact, we need to be able to understand exactly what it is that we're trying to do and what we're trying to affect. So we look at law. What can we define as law? Law is an enacted rule that is legally binding and enforceable by the state or a mandated authority. This could be like, for example, in Kenya, we have the Constitution of Kenya, we have the National Water Act, we have the Environmental Management and Coordination Act. These are examples of laws in Kenya that are associated with the water sector. What is governance? Governance is now the process of decision making, implementation, as well as accountability in managing the public affairs of institutions. Water governance, for example, would include how the county government, the regulators, the water service providers, the communities are managing their water resources. When it comes to corporate governance, that would refer to how an organization is directed and controlled. For example, Kenya Youth Parliament, that is, it has its own corporate governance strategy. Yes. We look at what is a framework. So a framework is a structured guide or a system that would provide the principles, guidelines, as well as the structure for the action that you're about to undertake. In Kenya, we have the Kenya National Water Policy 2021, which was upgraded from the Kenya National Water Policy 2016. And this policy provides the direction for the water sector, how it has been devolved, how resources are allocated, not only at the national level, but it would also show you how it's done at different devolutions. So, what is a policy? A policy is a formal statement of intent that guides decisions, actions, and behavior within a government, organization, or institution. Explains what should be done and why. For example, a government would develop a water policy, for example, the National Water Policy 2021, to outline, as I said, how water resources are managed, protected, as well as distributed. So we also have guidelines. Now, these are recommended instructions. They are not really inputs like the framework. So they are recommended instructions or practical directions that would help people understand how to carry out a task. For example, when it comes to water management and under the Ministry of Kenya, how is the technical guidelines of water quality monitoring? How should you monitor this water? How should you distribute this water? How should you allocate it? So it will help people understand how to carry out a task or how to apply a policy, a law, or a regulation. And they recommend the way of doing something. We also have WASH guidelines for schools, for public health, guidelines for disease prevention. And these are the tools that help institutions to understand the recommended standards and procedures. We also have an act. As I mentioned, we have the Water Act 2016. An act is a law that has been formally passed by Parliament and is legally binding. For example, key features of an act is that it has been passed by Parliament, it is legally enforceable, meaning that if you go against the act, the judicial system has every right to prosecute you. And it defines what is allowed and it also provides authority. For example, in Kenya, laws are passed by the Parliament of Kenya and are signed by by the president before becoming an act. The National Water Act of 2016 is the law that provides the legal framework for managing water resources and water services within Kenya. We have regulations, and these are detailed rules that are made under the authority of an act to explain how a law will be implemented and how it will be enforced. Made under an act, they should be legally binding, they provide details and procedures, and are made by authorizing bodies. For example, the Water Act gives authority to the relevant institutions to develop regulations such as water resource use permits and water quality standards. So, under the Act, you see that for the water service providers, they have the institutions that have been given the authority to treat and distribute the water to the citizens and consumers. They are also given the authority and have been set for the water quality standards for them to be able to adhere to and is persecuted by the jurisdiction if they do not adhere to the act and to the law and to the regulations that have been set. Thank you. Next slide. So, what is the difference between a policy and a law? We see that a policy is more of an intention and direction, while a law is an enforceable rule and an obligation. You cannot go against the law. You're not supposed to go against the law, but a policy is more of an intention and a direction. And what is the difference between a framework and a guideline? So the framework is the system, while the guidelines is how to operate within the system. Okay. So here we see the hierarchy of these different terms that we've defined. So at the very bottom, we have the guidelines. So we've seen that the framework is a system and the guidelines is how to operate within the system. So how are we operating is the guideline, followed by the framework, and we have the policy. Policy being an intent, and then we have the regulations, followed by the law, which is acts of parliament, which is enforceable and which is legally binding. And finally, at the very top, we have the governance, which is under the constitution, for example, the Constitution of Kenya. It shows how Kenya as a country is governed.
Hi. How are you?
Sorry.
I'm good.
Okay. And the governance would show how Kenya is run. Thank you. So let's look at the Constitution of Kenya. The Constitution provides the legal basis for the water governance within our country. We look at Article 43.1D, where every person has the right to clean, safe, adequate water and adequate water. This is also in line with our goal, as we've mentioned, SDG 6, which states that every person has a right to clean and safe water, right? And we look at Article 21 and 56, where the state obligates to progressively realize socioeconomic rights and protect marginalized groups. We also have the fourth schedule, which looks at the devolution of functions. We have the national government and the county government, where the national government is in charge of water resource management and regulation, and the county government is in charge of water and sanitation service provision. So we look at the institutional framework. We have the Water Sector Trust Fund. This finances pro-poor and marginalized area water projects. For example, if there is an upcoming project to dig a borehole in an area that does not have adequate funding, the Water Sector Trust Fund will be one of the major contributors to ensure that this area is able to have access to at least adequate and sufficient water. We also have the Water Service Regulation Board, which is known as WASREB. This regulates water service providers. It sets the tariffs across the entire country. So if it is public or parastatal that is a water service provider, the tariff has been set by the Water Service Regulatory Board. The tariffs will differ between counties. However, there is a set limit according to how much the provider requires, for example, to treat their water and distribute. They also publish performance reports annually, known as the annual impact reports. And we have the National Water Harvesting and Storage Authority, which develops dams and national water storage infrastructure. So here we have the hierarchy of water governance in Kenya. At the very top, we have the Ministry of Water and Irrigation, where we have the National Water Storage Authority, the Water Tribunal, which was changed from the Water Appeal Board, and we have the Water Sector Trust Fund. This is at the very top at the national level. Going down, still within the national level, now we have the Water Service Regulatory Board, and we have the Water Resources Authority, which was formerly the Water Resource Management Authority. Coming down to a regional level, our water sector is divided in basins. So we have the Basin Water Resources Committee, as well as the Water Works Development Agencies. Here is where, if it is a major project, it moves from the local level to a regional level, where, for example, within Nairobi, we know that we have the Athi Water Works Development Agency, which caters to Nairobi, Thika, Athi River, and they're able to cooperate and coordinate on large projects. We also have the Water Resources User Associations. This is at the local level. And the water service providers. This is where we have the Nairobi Water City County. We have the Ololeza Water Company. And at the very bottom, who are the most important, we have our everyday consumers, because at the end of the day, everyone here is a consumer of water. So looking at our institutional framework some more, we look at the National Water Act of 2016. It was established in 2016, and at the county level, we see that under the devolution, now the counties are now established as the water service providers. Before, it was at the national level. With devolution, it came down to the county level, and they developed the County Integrated Development Plan, the CIDPs, which include one for the water sector, and they're responsible for both rural and urban water service delivery. So let's look at water governance principles in Kenya. Kenya's water governance is guided by what? Integrated water resource management, public participation, equity and non-discrimination, the polluter pays principle, such that if a company is discovered to be a polluter, they are the ones to pay, not the people within the community. We are also governed by sustainability as well as catchment protection, since Kenya is currently classified as a water scarce country. And also we are guided by devolution and subsidiarity. We find that water resource users associations, such as the one that I worked for before, Kerarapon Water Association, support participatory catchment management, where we find, based on my experience, where they get their water is from a spring, a protected spring, and everyone within the community comes together to ensure that they have adequate, clean, and safe water for use. Let's look at the government versus the county government within the water sector. What is the role of the national government? The national government focuses on more of policy, regulation, and water resource management. Their key roles include policy and legislation, regulation of water services through Water Services and Regulation Board, water resource management through Water Resource Authority, and the National Public Water Works through the National Water Harvesting and Storage Authority, as well as other national agencies. So these are the key roles of the national government. Let's look at the key roles of the county government. When it comes to the county government, they're more responsible of water and sanitation service delivery. So we see that the county government is more of law and legislation And then the county government is more hands-on when it comes to the actual service delivery, with their key roles being water service provision, infrastructure development, licensing, as well as oversight of the water service providers and community engagement. So what are some examples? For example, if a new dam is to be constructed to supply water across multiple counties, the national government would handle the planning and the bulk of the infrastructure, while the counties would now be in charge of distributing water to the households through their local networks. So when it comes to the actual building and construction of the infrastructure, that would be under the national government, as we have seen. But then when it comes to the distribution, that would go through the water service providers within the different counties. And if it's a borehole that is to be drilled in a rural area, the county government would manage it. Because when it comes to within a more rural area, we find that the bulk of planning and infrastructure is not to the level as it is across certain counties. And most rural areas are fully located within one county. So we find that the county government would manage it and that the national government would ensure that the abstraction complies with the regulations. So that for example, if it's a borehole that would be extracted from an aquifer, we have to make sure that we are respecting the aquifer so that it may continue to provide for us, ensuring sustainability. So what are some of the governance challenges that we currently face in Kenya? We find that especially when it comes to the water sector, the gap that is required to be closed for us to make progress within the water sector is very large. So we have inadequate financing, not only in governance, it comes as well as in, for example, water education, education of water sustainability, the risks, over abstraction, especially because most of our water comes from the ground, comes from aquifers. We find that the regulation of boreholes is very limited, and the financing for education within these sectors is also very limited. We also face a major challenge on non-revenue water. This was what my final project was on. One of the challenges that we're facing is non-revenue water, especially within the governmental water service providing companies. We also are heavily affected by climate change. We have overlapping mandates, especially between the national and the county governments after the devolution of the water sector. We have weak enforcement in some catchments, not all. There are some catchments that are doing well and that are improving. And we also have informal settlement service gaps such that we find that in most of the informal settlements, they are being served by water kiosks and water cartels, which are not regulated by the government. How can we link this to SDG 6 of clean water and sanitation for all? How does Kenya's framework align? We see that we are all aiming for universal access to safe water, sanitation and hygiene, water quality improvement, as well as transboundary water cooperation, because as we know, Kenya is one of the countries that is a major transboundary, especially within the Nile basin, because we have Lake Victoria, which is one of the sources of the White Nile. And thank you so much for attending and for listening to our presentation.
Thank you very much. That was such a powerful and impactful presentation. Thank you very much, Amina. We have covered a lot of ground today, from constitution basis of water rights all the way through institutional frameworks and also the real challenges facing governance in Kenya, especially right now. Now we have time for an open discussion. I think we have at least 5 minutes, and I believe this is the part that I enjoy the most. In as we be able to collect insights from one another. I want to hear from you guys. Like, what is your feedback? But my first question, as also a person very interested in a very big water youth advocate, on the polluter pays principles. I believe there's a huge gap on that. uh, wh- what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? Because I believe that people nowadays we have companies which are ready to pollute the environment and are ready to pay for it. Uh, how can we counter that? I believe that is my first question. Maybe thoughts. Jerry and Mina, use your thoughts.
Okay. So when it comes to companies and the gap, especially when it comes to the polluter pays principle, it is true. A lot of companies are now willing to pay. They don't mind polluting the environment because they think they have the finances to pay. When it comes to when it comes to the governance aspect of it, there is still, as you have said, a major gap. What can we as the youth do in order to try and bridge this gap to ensure that it's I would believe, in my opinion, it starts with education, and not just education on when you're in school. A lot of people do not see the criticality of the issue when it comes to especially pollution, because they are of the idea that as long as it's polluted they can pay for it and their part is done. They don't understand the effects of pollution on reducing the availability of water. So I think people need to actually come out to, let's say, a webinar like this, or we can have a demonstration of how exactly does pollution affect our water sources. You can see um, what can we do. Especially, there's so many things that I think we can do, but it would start with us actually educating. For example, if it is a friend, it has to start with us. If it is a friend and you are seeing that they want to litter or they want to throw, at the end of the day, with the when it comes to like heavy rains, all this will end up in our water sources, and we can see that that is part of the polluter problem. So there is still a long way to go, but I believe there is things we can do. Maybe Jerry can help on any ideas, or
Yeah,
add
the
someone
floor
else.
is
Um,
open, guys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
the
floor is
floor is
open.
open.
Maybe I can add something. So in safety, we usually say there are three reasons for safety. There's the legal, financial, and moral. So in the polluters aspect, so for the legal part, the what's it called? The penalties are not high enough to incentivize the polluters to change their ways. That's one. And then from the moral aspect, very little progress can be made on that because they do know the moral obligation. But there's also the financial aspect, which is usually targeted through the legal aspects, the fines, but that's not enough. We can appeal to the financial burden that they'll be putting themselves in by having to treat the polluted water so that they can use it for whichever industry they're in. So as they do pollute, they would need to treat the water at abstraction to be able to use it to the quality that is required from the industry. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. I believe those are solid outputs. But that's a very strong conversation we can have maybe on a later webinar. As I see that our time is imeisha kidogo. I would like to invite Jerry to conclude for us the meeting.
Just to be clear, Judy, how much time do you have?
I believe 3 minutes from my side as I can see. Or was that the recording time?
I think it's the recording time. Um,
Okay.
so that everyone else can have a chance to introduce themselves, even if it's
Yeah.
after the recording, in my opinion.
Yeah, I believe that that would be great because I see that we have some guests from Nakuru Youth Wash Parliament. We have nutritionists. I think we should give everybody a chance to introduce themselves after the Q&A. So if you guys have any other questions, because I think I will after we have the questions, I have some several questions later on, but the floor is yours. So please go on. Don't be shy.
Let me
Do you
pick
have
on
any
Josh. Let me
Joshua?
pick Josh. Yeah,
Okay.
and let me so they recently launched an information hub. So
Mm,
maybe he can say something on that after introducing himself
that is
kindly.
great.
Okay, hello, thank you so much. My name is Joshua Dor. I'm the communications lead at Sumu Youth Wash Parliament. And it's high time that young people, we have a conversation around water because water is an enabler. Everything that we do in one way or another, water is a major factor into it. As Njeri has said, thank you so much, Njeri. We, as the Kisumu Youth Wash Parliament, launched actually an info hub, wash repository for Kisumu County. We noticed that there has been a very big challenge, especially when it comes to legal frameworks and policies around water issues. They are so much scattered and they are all over the place. So we decided as a parliament to just come together and put all these documents in one place where people can be able to have access to these documents. And I think it goes also a long way in helping pushing this water conversation. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks. And where can we find it? Is it open sourced?
Oh, yes. The info hub is open source. You can find it on our website. Our website is www.youthwashparliament.org/info hub. Be able to access it there. Also, just to mention in this particular conversation, because we're talking about SDG 6, we also launched the SDG 6.51, the indicator for integrated water resource management in Kisumu County. And I think this is something when we have data like this as young people, it's easier for us to also ensure.
I forgot to mention that you should rejoin using the same link.
Yeah, I think
Joshua,
we
you
should have mentioned it during the meeting.
yeah. Joshua, sorry, you are cut off. Please continue.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. As I was saying, we also launched a report on SDG 6 indicator 6.51 on the status of implementation of integrated water resource management in Kisumu County. So this is just also one way in which, as a parliament in Kisumu, we are trying to for so that this conversation that we are having, the water conversation that we are having, it's not just for us, for the people who are in the water sector, but also for other people who are outside there, so that they can also have knowledge on that.
Okay, thank you.
I hope you got me.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
Next, you can have an introduction by the Nakuru Youth Wash Parliament. You're already unmuted. Nakuru. Stephen, if you're in a position to mute him, kindly mute them. Yeah.
Hakuna, si ilienda huku.
Um,
Maua imerisiviwa propagation. So like delay iko.
okay. In the meantime, I hope I'm audible. Nokabi, please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Mnaandikaga ya leak hivyo kama yenye mnaandikaga ya leak. Na sasa hivi mtu mna create pia nini? Ya propagation.
Alright, can
Hello,
just leave it
Jerry.
open. Oh, okay, yes. Hi.
Okay, sorry. Good evening. I hope you're well. My name is Nyokabi Muriithi, and I am a member of Kenya Youth Parliament for Water, and I'm happy to be here. I work at the intersection of gender and water governance, and my work has been on water governance and gender across East Africa, and I love the knowledge exchange that is happening here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Virginia. You can also mention if you're in a working group, KYPW working group, and if you've joined or if you're interested in a specific one. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, thank you so much. My name is Virginia Wamboi Gashuvi. I also have a background in water policy, and currently I'm working on climate policy, but also touching on issues on water. And yeah, thank you so much, Chizi, for that powerful presentation. It was so insightful, and I've actually learned a lot from you. Looking forward for other webinars to learn more. Thank you.
Thank you, Virginia. Joshua Murara. Or Michelle. Or Esther. Whoever is ready and is in a position to introduce themselves, please.
Hello everyone, hope you're all doing well. My name is Esther Musioka. I'm a nutritionist and a caregiver consultant as well as a trainer. I recently joined your group. I've not attended any physical meeting. I'm just trying to follow up and see what's happening there. So I will be glad to join you guys in making our world a better place where we can all live conveniently and just at peace with everybody. I know like the SDGs, all of them, like the 16 of them, they need to, like they depend on each other. So point, not even as a point, but most places they will always affect each other in one way or the other. So I'm glad to be part of this group. I was introduced by my friend, but I think she's not joined the meeting. But yeah, I'm following up what's happening in the group to see where I can connect with everybody. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Esther. We're glad to have you. Charlene in the comment section has said hi. Yeah, we're lucky to have you here. Happy to have you here, that is. Who's available to introduce themselves? Sitaki kufungia mtu. Yes, Kaite. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly.
Okay, good afternoon, team. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
Good afternoon, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. My name is Kate Twitter from Nyandarua County under the Lake Naivasha Rowers. So I want to appreciate the Kenya Youth Parliament Wash Executive for this platform. I want to appreciate our presenter for the good presentation that she has done. I think stronger clarity on roles between water and service providers, the county governments, and the community water users could include our accountability. And obviously, the youth inclusion should go beyond the consultation into actual participation and in monitoring, and also in the local water project oversight. So I think the big question that goes to us is our current governance structure really producing policy documents, or is it actually improving the water access outcomes on the ground? So thank you so much, and also thank you for the platform. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that. It's a good question, something to think over. That's a question that's often asked. Do we just have good policy documents that are shelved somewhere, or does it actually translate to increased access of water for the Kenyans? Thank you. Who else has not? Umazi? Okay, I don't think he's available. So as I said before, this is a series, and the second webinar will be on youth advocacy for water policy engagement. So we'll be looking at water governance and advocacy skills, youth participation and public engagement, as well as advocacy skills and strategies. So as it suggests, we'll be looking at how to contribute, how to implement the knowledge that we've acquired at present. If there's any question to our speaker, Amina, now is the time. And Amina, if you have any parting shots, any advice for us, that would be awesome.
Let me
Great
give
question.
in case there's a question.
Yeah, okay.
I don't see any questions. So thank you so much for the opportunity and for joining us on our webinar today on policy, governance, and laws. My parting shot to you would be, when it comes to the water sector, every little thing that you do has an impact. So what are you doing today to ensure that you still have water tomorrow? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Amina. Thank you.
If you're willing to, this goes to everyone, if you're willing and able to contribute to this project series, its development, that is, you can do that through the project working group. It's part of the groups in the community, WhatsApp community. So please join that, and so that we can all capacity build ourselves. On another note, we'll be having a walk in Karura. So you're all encouraged to show up, invite your friends. There's no prior registration required. Just show up, pay for your entry fee, and join us. Yeah. If you have your T-shirt, please wear it. If not, you can order. You won't get it on Saturday, but you'll get it soon enough. Yes. Is there anything else, Judith?
I believe not. A very special thank you to everybody who made this meeting a success, especially to Martin. I'm not sure if he's here, but he really worked. He really took some time to make this happen. Also to Olive, also to Jerry, to Joyce for making the posters, and to our leaders, to Accord. I hope I'm not forgetting anyone. To Moretti also, and also to myself, and also to Amina. Thank you very much. And to our participants, please, we'll be having more webinars, and we hope that you'll be joining us. We also be in collaboration, especially in search for speakers. We will want to have maybe more guests, and we're welcoming any recommendations. Apart from that, thank you very much. Thank you for being a part of this journey. I think we can break. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.